Check, mic check, 1, 2.
Yo, is this thing on or what?
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Platform Podcast. As always, I am your host, Dex. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to go hit that subscribe button. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, give us a follow, leave us that 5-star review, and let me know who you want to see on upcoming shows. As always, I've got to give a big shout out to our brand partner, Make It Now Media. Whether you're a DJ, an agency, a venue, you're looking for any graphic design work from flyers to a new logo, EPKs, new visuals, hit up Make It Now Media, use the code PLATFORM. They'll get you all taken care of. Now, today on the show, I've got an awesome guest from New York, huge DJ and producer that's been in the industry for years, played at every single club that you can think of. His resume is insane. We got Chachi in the house. How's it going, man?
What's up, buddy? Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here and taking the time. I mean, I know you're here for work, so I'm just kind of getting you on the one-off, but I appreciate you being here. It's awesome to get you on the couch and talking and telling your story, man.
My pleasure, man. Thank you for having me.
We got a lot, man. We got a couple of cool topics lined up. Obviously, we're going to talk about your company, 4 a.m.
For sure.
Things that you're doing, building that roster up and building the clientele up that you guys work for and partner with. We're going to talk about you as a producer and a DJ and the things that you are doing personally.
Right.
Because, we got to love to see that and talk about the DJs on this show. We're going to talk about New York. Obviously, you've been there your whole life. And
for forever.
Yeah, seeing how things have changed and grown and evolved. So we'll talk about a lot of that. But first, I mean, let these viewers know a little bit about Chachi, how you got into the industry, and what got you to be where you are now.
Okay. So Chachi is a nickname that I was given at my first job as a mobile DJ. I think I was 17 or 18 at the time, and this for some reason this mobile DJ company, everyone had nicknames. Like the owner of the company, they called him the Polar Bear, which he kind of looked like a polar bear, honestly. Like if I showed you a picture of him, put it side to side. And then one of the guys one day was like, "You look like Scapeo from Happy Days. We're gonna call you Chachi." I was like,
"You're like, all right, what? Did you even watch Happy Days?"
I mean, I knew of it. I mean, I don't know if I watched it.
Yeah.
But it actually really worked out because my DJ name at that time was DJ Sync, and then In Sync came out, and then it was over.
Oh.
It was over from there. So I needed a rebrand anyway.
Yeah.
So it was perfect timing that somebody took that and ran with it for me because what the hell did I know?
Yeah.
Everybody's DJ name was Remix and DJ, something very DJ centric. So I'm from Long Island. I've been DJing since I was 14. I had some older cousins that did the fraternity house party kind of scene. They didn't do it really seriously.
Yeah.
But I was going to their gigs with them since I was maybe 10 or 12. I would just carry their records and shit. And I was just kind of mesmerized by how much power they had. If they played a song or the right song, the right way, people would go, ooh, and and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I used to ride my bike over to my cousin's and just play with his turntables until I was not horrific, I mean, it was a lot harder back in the day, doing stuff with turntables and that kind of thing. So, and then I always talk about, I love my trajectory where I started from middle school dances and went up.
Mm-hmm.
Hi.
You built your way up, to now you're playing nightclubs all over the world. So
yeah, I'm 30 countries in the hole. Probably played almost every major market in the country. I haven't done a lot in the Northwest. I never played Oregon or Seattle. I haven't, even though there's a new spot in Seattle I want to play.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've run the gamut, and I've run the gamut of technology. I love that I started on vinyl, and then I can remember literally bringing my Discman to gigs when I needed to play something off a CD. And then seeing the whole evolution of how technology got involved. And then I remember hearing AM for the first time and being how is he changing the song so fast? I don't understand. And Serato had just came out, and learning about that. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I'm going to bring my laptop. I was like, no. So I used to bring like CDs and my I used to like have like backups.
Just in case.
Yeah, I remember even when I started hitting the road, I used to bring multiple laptops with me because like you didn't really know back. You didn't really know back then. You're like, I'm gonna let
they're not as near as reliable as they are now.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna let my whole shit like rely on this one laptop. I was like, damn, I'm bringing backup CDs. I'm bringing another laptop. I was used to bring stuff. I remember having a specific carry-on that had an additional slot for a laptop. So I had one in my backpack and then one in my like little I don't know.
You never know.
It was so early in that game where I was like, this is gonna, gonna crash, and then what, the whole night is fucked? I'm like, oh my God, I need something.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you're talking about being in the industry for that long. I mean, you're able to see kind of like your technology is obviously one thing that you've seen change over time.
Right.
But you're looking at you starting from playing in high school to now being where you are over 20 years. I mean, what are some things that you think that you've done right to remain at the top of one of these top open format guys in the music industry for so long?
I think I had a lot of really great examples of what not to do. When I first started kind of touring a little bit and I got signed to my first agency, I was always just kind of like seeing DJs that, if they got into like, if they drank too much or they got into drugs or like, like a lot of extracurricular activities really derailed them from like staying the course. And like, I say this and I like really preach this to like everyone, where like, this is a marathon, not a sprint. So like, long-term decisions, long money decisions, diversifying your money, saving, it's really, it's a marathon, not a sprint, is really like, it applies to everything and anything.
Yeah.
And then, Riz had this great thing that I feel like was like his like Twitter bio for forever. And it was just like, consistency equals longevity, where it's like, you're only as good as your last show. So you have to bring it every time. Even if you're on autopilot, like your autopilot has to be fire.
Yeah.
You could have a fever and a stomach bug, but like you still got to go. And like your autopilot is good enough to like really get you through the night. So like you have to be truly, truly consistent.
Yeah.
So I think consistency is key in the long game. And I think treating an unorthodox job with the seriousness of a real job really kind of set me apart.
Yeah.
Because, all my friends were just like getting fucked up and like, they were there to like get laid or like whatever. And I was like, I'm so lucky. And for me to take all of this luck and all of the stars that had to align for me to like kind of get to this point where this could actually be like my only job, I would be such an asshole to like flush this down the toilet by like getting wasted or trying to meet some girl or, some trivial bullshit.
Yeah.
So I think really understanding how fucking lucky I was really gave me a lot of perspective on like, wow, okay. And the cool thing is, or the funny thing is, you only have to like not do like such a small amount of things to not fuck it up.
There's a lot that you have to like, I feel like you have a lot of leeway to
There's so much
up.
leeway.
Like you're in a profession where drinking is the majority of the time recommended.
And it's free.
Yes.
Right.
And it's like, you got to do a lot to fuck up.
Right.
But like,
you really got to push the envelope to really fuck it up. And there is leeway and second chances. And it's like, this is an industry of drinking and drugs and girls and like all of the different vices in life. But so it's actually simple to not fuck up.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're not good with booze, just don't fucking drink. Like or like know your limits. Like, you know, I'm like not a big guy. If I drink half a bottle of tequila,
You're gonna be fucked
my
up.
music's probably not gonna be that good. You know, it's not gonna be great.
Yeah.
So, you know yourself, know your limits, you know, and really recognize what's the goal. You know, is it to make people have a fantastic time? Is it to, you know, make sure to come back to that club? You know, like, I think the funny thing about drinking or any of those other things is it's about you. And it's got nothing to do with the people that are on the dance floor that are spending their hard-earned money to be there and to like have a night out and want to like kind of like let go. And, you know, life is always so serious. You're not thinking of the venue, all of the different pieces that need to fire for that venue to be successful and continue to be open and continue to provide you with income. You know, all of the people that work there. I mean, like if you think of the bajillions of things that have to happen for this night to be successful and then to rinse and repeat, it's so much. So when you are sort of this like star of the show kind of thing and you're just getting whacked, it's so disrespectful and rude to the millions of things that had to happen for you to be there. So it's really, that means it's about you. It's not about, you know, doing for others. And all I'm really here for is for others. Whether it's making people dance or making people money.
I mean, the biggest thing, you're playing music for others. Like, that's what your job is as a DJ, is to entertain the crowd, read the room, and play what they want to hear. But even at the same time, I mean, a couple things you hit on which really they resonate with me a lot. And like, one being how you have to be on all the time as a DJ, where even if you are in that autopilot has to be good enough to still remain entertaining to the crowd, because it's hard. It's hard sometimes. Like, you're the DJ, you're the focal point. A lot of times, like, you're on a stage, everybody sees you, and you got all this outside shit going on. You might not be having the best day, but when you get on there, you still have to bring that energy to the crowd.
We're human. You know, it's like I'm watching like Starting Five right now with like Jimmy Butler when his dad passed and he had to play that night.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I think people do forget that we're human beings and like, but like nobody feels bad for us, you know, like, and they're not going to, and that's okay. You know, like
we have a great job.
We have fantastic jobs. Right. So like, you know, 9 out of 10 times it's probably a great experience, but like, we're humans. Sometimes you're not there to turn it on, or if you're coming from different cities or jet lagged, or, you know, somebody's not feeling well or whatever, like, but that's why you get paid the big bucks. You got to turn that shit on.
From how you started out in high school to now like running your own agency, what are some of the things that you would say to either like a younger version of you or to just these younger up and coming DJs on how to approach DJing the right way and get the right bookings, building their brand, that kind of stuff?
Okay. So I would say it would have to be broken down into a couple different things, because personally, I feel like if I was talking to me at, you know, 20 or something years old, I would say to make music and focus all of my time, energy, and money into production and producing and becoming an artist. Now, that's one part of it, and that just really kind of only pertains to me. If you're not interested in that, which a lot of DJs are not, like producing is something that you have to like really love and enjoy and like have a musical background. There's a lot of, you know, I think a tough part of kind of where we are now is a lot of DJs feel like they're at this point where they're like, I have to perform, which, you know, when you have to do something, the outcome is going to be extremely different than when I want to do something or I love to do something. So I think a lot of the music that's coming out now, and I think a big struggle in the quality of a lot of music, is it's not made with love.
It's forced.
It is made because out of the necessity to make music. And I think you can really hear it in the quality of the music that comes out now. So it's twofold. It's, personally for me, I come from a musical background. I love music. I love making music. I would have just told myself to just lean in. If you are not interested in that and you're just really wanting to become a DJ, or like what I would have told myself back then, even though I still really had a good grasp on like navigating this weird fucking career and this terrain and nightlife, I think I probably would have just told myself to like not drink. Like, don't drink it. Like, don't even like take the genie out of the bottle. Just like focus on your craft and be as good as you can at that. And to probably not take life so serious.
Yeah. Which that's what I think is one of the interesting parts with you, especially starting at such a young age and like going to different like house parties and things like that, where you could have gone down a wrong path at a young age and got lured into drinking and whatever else that's in like this DJ industry is, yes, you're surrounded by drinking a lot of the time. You're surrounded by drugs a lot of the time. And then being pulled into it at such a young age, like it's surprising that like you didn't go down that route, which is awesome.
I mean, it's amazing. And I think it's partially luck. I always think everything, there's just some luck in there, and I feel very lucky and blessed. And I'm like constantly like thanking the universe. It's like, I'm not like really a religious guy. So I'm like something, I just say the universe or whatever. But initially I didn't have time. So like because like if you think about it, I was like already gigging at 17. So like I just got my license and I was doing like 3 or 4 like mobile parties per weekend. So like I was making a grown man salary at 17.
At 7,
like I was making like 50 grand a year in cash, living at home.
Yeah.
At 17. So I didn't have time. And I had like at that, not 17, but like when I went to college, I was like going to school full time, working at a record store, DJing like an 18 and over on Thursdays, and then doing mobile parties on the weekends. So I didn't have time. And I was also like just terrified of like a DUI or something like that. And that really carried me into, I think I was like 23 when I started working in Atlantic City. And then I met DJ Vice. And I feel bad because this comes up.
I heard you say it, yeah.
But it's like I didn't drink, or I like kind of drank. Like I remember, I think I was drinking like Coronas or like something until like you drink enough Coronas, and I had like a little beer belly, and I was like, well, okay, this has to go.
The image here.
Yeah, this has to go. And then Vice came and he was like, well, this is tequila and this is Patron and this is what we do. And I was just like, what do I know?
Which is funny because now he doesn't drink. So it's just complete funny. 180.
I love it. I love having that conversation with him about how he like navigates that now, because now you're fucking sober and he's not even like California sober. I don't even think he like smokes weed or does edibles. Yeah, I think I probably would have told my younger self like not to drink at all. Just focus. And like, it's so hard at that age. What the fuck do you know? You're like all these girls that are way out of my range, like suddenly want to give me attention, and then there's booze involved and like whatever. And I just think drugs, like I could swear, I think I have a distinct memory of when I was like maybe like 13, 14, 15 or something. One of my cousins basically just like threatened my life. It was like the most just, my dad owned a repair shop my whole childhood in Jamaica, Queens. So like all the boys grew up at the shop. Yeah. When we turned 8, I don't want any like child labor laws coming out.
You started working.
we went to work, and we would work on any school holidays. Yep. And summer vacation. So we didn't have summer vacation. We went to work. Yeah. And I mean, when we were 8, we didn't work full days. So I think my mom would pick us up like halfway through the day, but we worked from like 6 a.m. to like whatever, noon or 1 o'clock. But then when we were like 12, we would work 12-hour days with my dad. So I remember
he was getting his money's worth.
He was funny though about it because he would like, when we were 8, he would give us like $1 a day.
Yep.
And then slowly our salaries would grow. And then like when we were, 14 or 15, we were making like money.
Yeah.
Because we could actually do stuff. I mean, I forgot how to do everything. I don't know how to change an alternator anymore, but I did. But I have this very distinct memory of I'm in the center bay of like, the little bays of my dad's shop in Queens. And I'm under there, and I think we were just doing like an oil change. And I remember my cousin, it's either Anthony or John, just like threatening my life about like
if
doing
you ever
drugs.
do drugs,
fucking break your face. And I was like, what? It's like,
okay.
It's like, I don't know what a drug is.
Yeah.
But okay. And I swear to God, it like scared me straight. Like, I don't know. I mean, like my cousins are big guys, but like, that's all I really have when it came to drugs.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't know.
But that's awesome. I mean, to stay where you're at and then to
but that's
take
luck. I feel like that's luck. Like that
Good
was happened to be,
mentorship.
that happened to be their view about it. And they were like, these old school Italian guys. And it wasn't like this mushy whatever. And they were like, I will break your face into all the pieces.
Hey, it worked. But I mean, you're talking about how you're doing all that at such a young age and having basically a full plate of gigs nonstop all the time to the point that like you're not even thinking about drinking or doing any of that. How are you dealing with like being burned out already at that young of an age? Or were you just so ambitious and had the work ethic at that point where you're just like...
I think I loved it. I loved it. I mean, I just really think I loved it. Like it was such a different era where the music was great. The clubs were great. Like people were there to like dance, phones and social media didn't exist. I think life was just much simpler. Like I really just had to do a good fucking job and play these songs, and these clubs were ecstatic and they were like having me back. It was just such a different era in so many different aspects that it was this perfect storm of an amazing time to be a DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I just had this conversation with my mom, but like they're older or whatever, so they don't have a whole lot going on. And I'm like, the idle hands are the devil's playground. I'm like, Mom, you need a fucking hobby.
Something.
And back then I didn't have any free time, so I didn't have time to fuck around.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good. I mean, you're from New York. You've been out here now to play. This is your second time.
Yeah, for sure. Nashville's awesome.
First time in Nashville. I mean, yeah, give us your thoughts of Nashville and the nightlife scene out here compared to New York, Asia, LA, all these other spots that you've been to.
Nightlife's a funny thing. I mean, nightlife is, every city definitely has its nuances when it comes to either like the clientele or the music or what have you. And like a lot of people hear of Nashville and they're like, oh, do you have to like play a lot of country or...
That's always like the first question I get.
And it's like not really at like the venues that we play. If I DJ'd at like a honky tonk, like yeah. But we're DJing like your standard open format clubs that are like, EDM leaning, and they're a lot of what we play everywhere else. So Nashville is like same, but different. Obviously it's got like a country spin. It's an awesome city. Like, if you haven't been here, you have to come and visit and eat and go to a lot of these live music venues, which like you're just going to see these extraordinary musicians.
It's insane.
At like a barber shop or like, some random location. And you're like, oh, cool. This person should be like Ed Sheeran. Like,
yeah.
What are you doing here? And
he's done that.
They're just getting started, like musicians, everybody starts somewhere and they're going. And like, even though that person is super duper talented, he's not there yet.
Yeah.
But Sick City, like I really do love it. I've been telling people pretty recently that I feel like this is one of the, or if not like the most up and coming like market in the country right now.
Yeah.
A lot of opportunity, tons of people coming in for tourism. Like it's up there for sure.
I agree 100%. I see it every single weekend when everybody's out here. We were just talking in the car on the way over here where it's like every weekend there's somebody out here. Like one of my friends is out here coming to visit, hitting me up, being like, hey, I'm going to be in Nashville this weekend. There's always somebody coming to town and there's always something to do. I mean, the weather is typically nice enough for most of the year round where it's like, all right, you're not freezing your ass off if you go outside. So obviously, yeah, there's like a slower season, but when it's nice for 9 months of the year, it's kind of just easier to just go out here.
Yeah, now that I really think about it, it's actually funny because we have, or like East Coast has like Atlantic City and West Coast has Vegas. And we always used to kind of like say it was like the East Coast Vegas. And I think besides like casinos, like you guys have kind of become like the East Coast Vegas. There's so much going on here. There's so much diversity. There's so many different music scenes, food scenes. There's like there's a lot here, and the weather is pretty temperate. You know, it's like not northeast, but it's not the south. It's like it's in the middle. I mean, even Vegas is fucking freezing in the winter. So I think you guys are really like the new
called Nash Vegas. That's what they say.
Is that a thing?
Yeah,
Nash Vegas.
That's what they say.
I like it. I'm into it. I approve that message.
Yeah. How have you seen New York kind of change for either the better or the worse? Like, how have you seen New York evolve over the years?
New York is such a different animal than I think most other markets. It's like never not amazing, but it depends on where you're looking.
Okay.
I think the open format clubs that just, and like this is like one of those like people will argue in the comment section, but it's like I think of like the open format clubs of like venues that really just kind of like open the doors and like play a little bit of everything. Personally, I think they're struggling the most identity wise. Yeah, you know, because it's very difficult to make everybody happy. Then it's also kind of like very difficult to identify your clients. It's like if somebody asks you what you want to eat and you're like, I don't know, I'll eat anything. It's like, well, what do you want?
What do you really
want?
Yeah.
And then like you have to like pry into like that, you know, it's like, all right, well, I don't like Indian, you know, like you got to like get there. So it's kind of the same thing of like just opening the doors of a nightclub and being like, well, what do you want to listen to? You know, like, so I think from an identity perspective, those venues are having a tough time because on the complete flip side of that, the niche and nuanced parties of New York City are fucking crushing. Yeah. If this is a tech house party, you like know where you're going, you know what you're getting. If this is a big room techno party, and like there is no shortage of those kinds of parties. Yeah. I mean, even like new ones, like I just saw my gigs either last week or 2 weeks ago got canceled because of the hurricanes in Florida. I had a weekend off and I went to see Black Coffee in Brooklyn under the K Bridge. Okay. That's not a venue. It is like, it's like part of a park, but it's under a bridge in Brooklyn. Like I have to show you like the video. I felt like I was on a movie set or some crazy shit, but it was just me and a couple thousand of my friends just rocking out to Black Coffee with the craziest sound system, lighting. I mean, it's not like this shit was thrown together. It's, you know, a partnership with Brooklyn Mirage and whatever, but like there's so much of that. So you have like these huge venues like Brooklyn Mirage, Kings Hall, Knockdown Center, Brooklyn Navy Yard, where you can do 5,000 people and they know why they're going, who they're going to go. You know, these fucking venues never close. They close at like 8 o'clock in the morning. You know, it is wild. So like the rave scene is almost having like this resurgence in New York. It's obviously like in the organized rave scene, you know, tickets and security and whatever. But you can really hear any like nuance of a genre that you're looking for, and like the best of the fucking best in New York every weekend. There's like a bunch of different TikTok accounts that I follow where this one girl will literally just go through all of the raves that are going on in New York, and it's like she's just chatting for like 5 minutes. Like, okay, so-and-so is at da-da-da-da, and they play this, and da-da-da-da-da. It is wild.
So how is she, and she can find them all? Like they're announced? They're not just like pop up?
All mostly announced here and
Yeah.
there. She'll be like, so-and-so's doing a pop-up at a fucking bodega.
Yep.
You know, you can get, go on their RSVP list. I was just talking to my doorman at my building because I was coming home from Black Coffee that night. And he was like, oh, he's like, I know we've never had this conversation, but he's like, I'm into like big room techno. And I was like, you are? Like
I never would have guessed that.
Not in a million years.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, it's like super exclusive. They only text you the address the hour before the show goes on. I was like,
Really?
wow. I was like, that's fucking so cool.
Yeah.
But like, name a market that would actually fucking happen in besides New York.
Yeah.
And it's pretty fucking slim.
Yeah, because that would be awesome. If
Yeah.
And then it's you're obviously building up that party and doing that, and it's just such a
Yeah, New York is thriving, but it's just thriving in such a different way than your standard open format DJ. There's still a lot of opportunities for those clubs, but the ceiling is fucking here.
Yeah.
You know, like for money, how much money you can make, unless you're selling tickets or anything along those lines. But like that rave culture in New York is crazy, and it's crazy every weekend.
Well, because that's what I hear from like a couple of my friends that live out there and DJ, and then like you always see shit on DJ Twitter just of people bitching about whatever city.
Do
It's
not
like,
engage in DJ Twitter at
that's
all.
it.
Not even
I
a
always
little
just
bit.
like scroll past, and I'm just like, oh, what are we bitching about today?
Not
What's it
even a
gonna be?
little bit. It's just like we have such a finite amount
Yeah.
of energy, time, and if you think I'm going to waste it, like arguing on Twitter about, you know, openers or whatever. And then the other side of that coin is like, I never really know, or nobody ever really knows, who you're arguing with.
Yeah.
Is this person a veteran with like a, you know, long-standing resume that is going to like give me an insightful answer? Or is this someone that's never DJ'd, but they have a controller, you know, like how am I supposed to have that conversation with somebody? You know, it's just not something I engage with.
Yeah.
You know, openers, you can play no hands. I'll play it again. It's going to be fine. Who fucking cares?
Yeah. But it's just funny, like, seeing that and then just, like, talking to some of my friends that talk about, like, the New York scene and just, like, playing these bigger venues that don't want to budge on, like, rate because they either just, like, know that they're going to be busy and they know that, like, they have the name that you want to play there. So you're going to take this lower rate just because you want to get your foot in the door, you want to play there.
Yeah, I have that conversation with some of my younger DJs that I manage because at a specific time in history, it mattered. It mattered if your residency was A, B, and C in the major markets, New York, Miami, LA, Vegas, or what have you. And then some of your B, C, and D markets would go, oh, wow, you play at whatever club in Miami, we'll have you in. And that formula doesn't really work anymore. So I always advise my younger DJs, like, make sure you know why you're taking gigs. Like, if you're taking gigs at like a popular New York City nightclub, but they're going to pay you shit or whatever, get content. Make sure your social media is really like benefiting from that, because whatever money you just took, they're going to keep you at for forever. They're not going to let you grow. So you might as well use them for what can really benefit you in your social media. But that formula of like, I play X, so then a club in fucking Idaho is going to say, oh, wow, it doesn't fucking matter anymore.
Yeah. I feel like previously, if you had a spot on your resume, they're like, oh shit, he plays there, he must be good, we're gonna put him here.
Yeah.
But now I feel like with social media and so much of it you can get into some of these spots off of your social media and not necessarily be that level of a DJ.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then it's like, all right, cool. If we're booking just off your resume, we might book you and get disappointed.
Right.
So
like I have this one DJ that I always share to my younger DJs, and I'm like, look how this person is playing the social media game. Because if I didn't know this human and just looked at his social media, I would think this guy was fucking crushing it. So take from here and there and like utilize them and like learn from everybody. Like that's the best part about being a part of this generation, is you can like take the best bits and pieces of people and, you know, create a transformer in yourself and play the game. You know, play the game. It's like, this guy could be opening right now, but I don't know that. This video that I'm watching at whatever club looks insane. So he must be amazing. So I'm going to have him at my club in whatever city. Yeah.
It's huge. I mean, let's talk about your agency that you're running, 4 a.m.
Sure.
And the roster that you've built up. Because what do you guys have, 20?
We're at 25, I think, now.
Okay. Which is it all DJs, or do you have some people that are like...
Now it's all DJs.
Okay.
Well, DJs, producers.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah. But for... we had like toyed with photographers at one point, and then we almost represented a painter at one point. You know,
really,
creatives are creatives.
Yeah,
and creatives usually lack infrastructure, and that's a lot of times of what you're going to an agency for. Part of it is going to be development. Let's work on your brand. Let's work on your marketing. Let's work on a vision board of where you want to be in X amount of years or what have you. And then some artists are fantastic at that, but can't fucking tie their shoes, which is okay. I mean, it's funny, but it's, you know, I always have this conversation with people about like musical geniuses, and they're like, you know, yeah, but he's like a weird guy. And I'm like, no kidding. You know, like somebody as talented as like Prince, he's not going to be a regular guy.
Yeah.
He's not going to be normal. And you don't want him to be normal. You know, let him be eccentric and creative and a master at his craft. I don't want him to have like a normal IKEA house, you know, like that's not how it goes.
Yeah.
So, you know, your creatives, you don't want to like squelch that. You want to support that and complement them with the things that happen to be not their strong suit, which in a lot of creatives is a lot of basic shit, you know, whether it's financial literacy or like, you know, a lot of them need tour managers because guess what? They're not great at getting out of bed at fucking 8 o'clock in the morning.
We're just organizing simple things like running the schedule, running the bookings, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
too,
invoicing, check chasing. You know, so many DJs are just like, I
don't want to spend the time doing that. I'll pass.
Yeah,
it off
like
to somebody else.
they didn't pay me like automatically, so it'll be fine. Or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm like, you're just gonna leave that money on the ground? Like, I'll get it.
I will go pick it up for you. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, talk a little bit about that and what you guys do, because obviously you're hitting on development for these artists and talking about running their brands and how they can improve their brand, their image as a DJ. And then obviously the booking side of things too, where you guys are handling a lot of that.
It was an already existing agency, ran by a bunch of New York City legends. And one of them, Adam Alpert, at one point left to manage the Chainsmokers full time. So the Chainsmokers were incubated at 4 a.m. And then the remaining owners basically asked me for help.
Yeah.
And I had no experience managing anyone. I was just an artist on the agency at that point. But I kind of had a feeling that I could do it.
Just from your experiences?
I had been around for a really long time at that point. I had a ton of relationships.
Yeah.
I had been on multiple agencies at that time. So I had a bunch of different relationships with managers, and I learned the goods and the bads from those. And then Madison at that time was just working for the company. And then I basically identified that Madison was the company.
Okay.
And she was very young at the time. And I was like, oh, I recognized how amazing she was at what she did, and especially at that age. She was extremely mature. She was very organized. She was the complete fucking opposite of everyone that else was on the company or in the company or working for the company.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this young lady needs to be a partner immediately, because if she leaves, we're all out of work.
Okay.
She was the rock. She was our anchor for sure. So eventually, Madison became a partner, and then we parted ways with any of the remaining owners, and it just became Madison and I. But that was like 12 years ago now.
Yeah.
So the Cliff Notes version is basically we got our shit together and did what we had to do to survive for a couple of years, because with owners leaving, it's a mess. You know, you're playing cleanup, you know, you're trying to do as much as you can, book everybody as much as you can, and at the same time try to organize behind the scenes, the bookings and the books and all those things. Then after we had finally like got our feet settled, we were like, okay, cool. Now that we're a little bit organized, we have an interesting opportunity here to do this better. We are, you know, music industry adjacent. You know, it's like, you know, Tribe Called Quest was like, you know, music industry execs are shady, because the music industry's never been really kind to the artists. They've always taken advantage of them, made them sign crazy deals. I mean, literally up until now, I mean, Kendrick Lamar has like a terrible deal. I think he gives away like 50% of his net or something absurd. I think Drake made fun of it in one of his songs. I don't know. But that's just showing you that it like hasn't really evolved that much. I mean, it's not like Kendrick's been around for 50 years. You know, he's 10 or 15 years or something like that. So I was like, let's do this better. Let's strip down our contracts. Let's make sure that, you know, if you're not an actual attorney, you can read this and understand it. But we obviously always advise everyone to have an attorney look at it, et cetera, et cetera. And we just wanted to do things right and do things better, and then lean in the artist's favor instead of, you know, the whole history of bookings. It just leaned in the agency's favor.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to make things fair, which sounds very simple.
But a lot of places don't do it.
It's really most.
Yeah.
You know, it's really most. So that was just really kind of the goal, was to just like do things fair, do the things the right way, take care of people, and care about people as humans.
Yeah.
Less of like these like worker bees or like
just filling in a guy,
you know, like just mules,
gig.
just like go make me money.
Yeah. No,
So-
and obviously you've built up the roster, like we said, where you got 25 different people on there now. How are you working on like building them, their brand, getting them booked in other markets? And especially like we were talking about New York earlier, where some of these venues maybe aren't wanting to pay X amount. Where does that make it harder for you to get these guys booked in there because maybe they don't want this rate, but they want to start playing at these venues? Or then how do you balance that where you're like, well, maybe this place isn't good for your brand, even though you want to play there and they're not offering the money that you want?
I think with something like that, I think those situations actually tend to work themselves out.
Okay.
Where, you know, if the venue won't budge on a rate and we understand that it's not going to move the needle for you, then we keep it moving, you know? Or we always have these conversations behind the scenes with the artist on what's our goal? How are we going to get there? Does this provide our vehicle with fuel to get where we're going, to our destination?
Yeah.
And a lot of times it doesn't. And, you know, I think it took a lot of maturity on our artist's part to go, you're right. You know, this is not the move. Cool, I'm not going to play a large reputable club in my market, but for the right reasons. And being okay with that. And plus every situation, every club booking, every artist, it's all extremely a la carte. It's there's no generalizations. There's no sweeping decisions for everyone on the team. It's all person to person, your brand, your vision, your journey, and where you want to go. It's got nothing to do with me. I'm just a vehicle to try and help you get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that conversation has come up a bunch of times because a lot of times your larger, more established venues, they don't care. They don't want to pay. Yeah. Or, in New York is actually kind of interesting, but your big clubs in New York are now struggling.
Yeah.
Because we have got bigger mini festivals and what have you going off every weekend. So like what was the big club in New York City 10, 15, 20 years ago is struggling because they're being outbid and outmatched by the big boys because they're not the big boy anymore. You talk about big and it's like Brooklyn Mirage holds 5,000 people. That's a singular like venue, but that's a festival. 5,000 people is a festival. Brooklyn Navy Yard holds 5,000 people. So you're just going to get outbid for whatever talent you were booking. They're going to play the bigger clubs, and then you're slowly coming down to who can you afford. And then does that make money? Does that keep the lights on? These are large hospitality groups, so they can take losses in certain markets where they make it up in other markets and yada, yada, yada. But like that club still just might not have the cash.
Yeah.
So there's the more that you zoom out, the more that you can identify that, nightlife is this giant working organism and there's like so many nuances and what have you that make it actually grow and work.
Yeah.
So it's not always like, oh, fuck that. The market, this club doesn't want to pay. Sometimes there's a bigger thing going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, each artist is different, man, and how they want to get there. And a lot of times I will explain the information. I will go, hey, this venue only wants to pay X, Y, and Z. And sometimes artists will take it.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And it's to each his own, everybody's on their own journey and like everybody has different things that fuel them. Is it the clicks they're going to get from that recap video? Or is it, the money that they'll be able to invest in their retirement fund? Like everybody is playing a different game.
That's why I think like the communication with all the guys on your roster is so huge to find out like, hey, are you okay with taking less money to play at this venue that might help your brand?
Yeah.
Or would you rather be making more money and playing at a lesser spot? Like what kind of situation are you in? What are your goals? Where do you want to be? That kind of thing. Where for you to have the guys that you have on your roster right now, how do you go about balancing all of them out so that way they're all taken care of and they feel wanted throughout the agency? Because I look at a lot of these bigger agencies where guys are leaving them because they have a roster of 100 fucking DJs and these other DJs are always going to be the top priority versus them. So it's like, well, yeah, I'm on this roster, but am I really getting taken care of the way that I could be if I were to go somewhere else?
It's time. We give everyone equal time, and access. Where if people call, I pick up. I hear them out. I hear their goods and their bads, and it's really just communication.
Yeah.
And transparency. Those two key things are most of what we do, whether it's in a working relationship or any other relationship, So I think those two things really make our artists feel, wanted and appreciated and taken care of.
Yeah.
Just giving them our time. And that's really That's all we really have to give.
Yeah. I know you're always very transparent with everything, which I feel like would be fucking awesome as a guy on the roster. Like that's what I would want 100%. I'm always wanting like honest feedback, honest critique. So I think that that would be awesome.
It sounds good until I have bad things to tell you.
I would still rather hear that though, because I feel like that's how you're going to grow.
You should want to hear that stuff. Like you shouldn't want to just hear that you crushed it or whatever. Like, no, you should really want that. But like I said, every artist is different. Some people are more sensitive than others. Some people can't really take criticism. Everyone takes criticism and digests it and translates it differently.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever had this like sort of a situation pop up, but like we can say the same exact words, the same exact way to two different people, and they will digest it and translate it to, I mean, two different fucking things. You know, like one person will take that and be like, cool, I'm never working at this club ever again. Da 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 da. And then another DJ will be like, awesome, I'm going to take that into consideration and work my sets and involve that or whatever. You know, like everybody takes things differently. So like communication and transparency is great depending on who you're chatting with. Yeah. Because creatives sometimes, I mean, if you get into the like emotional maturity conversation, it's not had by all. Yeah. You know, everyone's on that journey. I mean, like I'm not the same person that I was, 10 or so years ago when someone that I was seeing was like, your communication skills suck. And she was like, why don't you read this book? And then that book was like the
jumping off point, you changing.
Me like being like, oh, there's like a different way for me to handle things, handle my emotions, take criticism, yada, yada, yada. And it kind of like set me down this path to this more well-rounded person that I am today. Yeah. But back then I was a very different man. Yeah.
Not communicating, but yeah. With your guys and like the DJs that you have, do you look at not only collaborating with the guys that are on your roster, but then having them collaborate with other DJs? Because I look at it as networking and building that pipeline of like guys that is only going to open up more bookings for you guys, where they're not essentially like gig swapping, but if one of your guys in your roster has connections at this venue, and let's say like Icon goes out to this venue and he crushes it, and now that venue is looking for other people, and Icon's like, hey, we have this roster, and now you're like, cool, talk to Rick Wonder, right? Bring Rick out there too, where it just opens up more venues just by collaborating with those DJs on your roster or other DJs that might potentially run other venues that you can get those guys on your roster into. Yeah.
This conversation kind of comes up from time to time because I feel like there's usually two ways that DJs operate, and they are either extremely pay it forward, team player. I want to help everyone win. I want to help everyone make money because I think they understand that it comes back. The more you help people, the more you open doors for people as a human, I mean, it's like the amount of like luggage I've pulled down for people just because I happen to be there and they need a hand. It's all the same thing, and DJs, I think a lot of times they operate from a scarcity perspective or a scarcity mindset where they're so like keeping everything close to their chest. They're like, I mean, gatekeeping is like the wrong word, but it's like they're basically operating from operating out of fear. Fear of losing their gigs, fear of losing money, and I forget the word escapes me, but whatever the opposite of a scarcity mindset is, where that gig will still be there. Just because you helped somebody else get it or get into another night that you're not there doesn't mean that gig won't be there for you the next time. And then, it's like the old, your net worth is your network. You know, our industry specifically is really who you know.
100%.
Who you know. People predominantly book humans that they like as a human. Outside of their performance, even a lot of times your performance could be mediocre. But if you're a great fucking guy or girl, you connect with your buyers, you're constantly in communication with them, you're just genuinely friends.
Yeah.
They will book you more often than if you're the fucking shit, but you're
a fucking asshole.
Not a great person.
Yep.
You know, I hear it all the time. People are usually pretty transparent with me about people's personal lives, like not their personal lives, but their personality behind the scenes. And it is a key booking aspect.
Yeah.
If they just like you as a person. But to your original point, it's like a lot of our guys, if not everyone, is of the mindset of like, I'm definitely doing my best to try to get into this room, but I'm also definitely doing my best to assist everyone else to get into this room. So it's, you know, everyone's trying to pay it forward and help everybody out. And it creates community, you know, people being like, oh no, this is my gig or this is my buyer or whatever. Like it's a short-sighted decision.
Yeah.
It circles back to like, it's a marathon, not a sprint, you know, like you got to really take care of everybody because then everybody will take care of you. It's a community.
I love it, man, because that's how I look at it for here. Like Barstool a couple months ago was like, hey, what guys would you bring in? I'm like, man, I have a list of all these, like I listen to DJ mixes so much and I talk to all these different DJs and obviously like, running my mix show, like I've gotten to network with so many of these guys where I'm like, this guy would be a perfect fit. This guy would be a perfect fit. This guy would be a perfect fit. And like for me as a resident there, it would never cross my mind to be like, well, I don't want to have them come here because I might be losing my job.
Yeah.
But that's just, again, like people looking at things differently. Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Just you. I mean, like I've had or worked with DJs that made tons of cash and still operated from it.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with like the way they were brought up, the kind of situation they were brought up in. A lot of it speaks to like maybe childhood trauma or like that kind of like the mental health side of like our industry that is like, in my opinion, lacking, where like
for sure
we need it more than ever, which stinks because it's like then this person doesn't even know, they don't know what they don't know. Like they don't even know that they need to get help or address an issue that could, you know, change the trajectory of their career.
Yeah.
If they were just a little bit more open and like, you know, didn't operate from that fear perspective.
What's like a thing that you've noticed has been helpful or like the specific thing that venues are like, yeah, we want that guy from your roster? Like what things do they do right that you've seen where those venues are like, yes, give us that guy?
I think definitely their social media and their branding
presence. Yeah.
Yeah. Their presence is really, really key. And that speaks to nightclubs, corporate, private events or what have you, like whoever your, you know, target audience is, like your social media, your mixes, everything that you have online having to be really polished, put together, and just well done.
Yeah.
It does damage, you know, because I can have, you know, the best DJ, but if my word doesn't carry as much weight as it used to, people like to make up their own minds. And they're going to go and check out your shit.
Yeah.
So
right
if
away.
your posts on social media, like don't match up with what you're doing, like you could be crushing every venue in the country, but if your posts on social media don't really match and we're looking to secure somebody new, it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know obviously production side of things is very, very big for a lot of these DJs.
For sure.
In obtaining bookings for you, that's something that's huge on your side of things where outside of running this agency, outside of you being a DJ that's touring everywhere, the production side of thing is huge for you too. And you've been putting out edits, remixes, you've put out originals that have gotten millions and millions and millions of streams. But what are we working on now? I mean, what do you got going on?
Right now, I kind of fell in love with Afro House, even as like kind of, you know, it's like, it's the gift and the curse when
you and everyone else.
When a genre, it's like the gift and the curse when a genre becomes popular, because then everybody just shits all over it and puts every dumb acapella on top of that like vibe. But you know, I was talking to one of our artists, Parari, about this, and I was like, you know, it's kind of funny that I've like really fallen in love with this sound, and he was like, no, it's not. And he was like, this is so you. He's like, Afro House is very like grown and sexy and like such a great vibe.
It still has like a dance music vibe that you like too. Yeah.
This is all you all together. He's like, you know, you being into like dubstep, that would be weird. You know, just like on the rails, just fucking
just headbanging.
You know, that would be funny. He's like, this is perfect, like right up your alley. He's like, this makes all the sense in the world. So yeah, that's kind of like where I'm at right now. I mean, and it's like, I hate to be, you know, like a genre chaser or whatever it is, but like, it's kind of like whatever speaks to you, speaks to you. And I really like it for the moment. And that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I know content wise, you've been putting a lot of stuff out while you're making the music, which I think has been awesome too, where it's like, you working on something and then panning to something else, and some of the like the Instagram reels and TikToks and stuff.
So bad at social media.
I thought it was good, man, but maybe I'm bad at it too.
Anyone out there wants to do my social media for free, come and get it
for free. For free, man.
Key point is for free. You know, for the experience. But you know, I've got some nuggets of wisdom I can drop on you, but that's about all the payment you're gonna get.
Yeah. How is like making the music, obviously for one, but then attaching the content to it? Have you seen any progress with like bookings off of that?
No.
Or people like finding none of it yet?
You know, producing and that lane of like getting to, you know, being on stage and what have you is such a labor of love. And I have this conversation with artists all the time, and I'm like, no matter what you do, no matter how many plays these get or what your interaction is, or, you know, even if it's like social media, like one of my DJs is like fantastic on social media. Like his content game is crazy. He does, you know, he has so many different posts go viral and like all this crazy shit, but it's...
Who are you talking about?
Flash.
Okay. Dude, I feel like a lot of the guys on your... Rick's awesome on it.
Amazing.
Icon's awesome on it.
Flash is like TikTok game. He has like, you know, like Sarah Landry and like John Summit like commenting on his shit.
Okay.
But it's the same thing where it's just like he's just consistent.
Yeah.
No matter what a particular post does or whatever, he's just keeping the content train going because he's on the long goal.
Yeah.
You know, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So production is the same. You have to just keep fucking at it. And then, you know, it's that old, like, you know, overnight success, but they didn't see the last 10 years or something like that. It's like we never heard of John Summit before that one record came out over the pandemic. That wasn't that long ago. He just sold out Madison Square Garden. So, you know, but we don't know how much work John Summit put in before Deep End.
Yeah.
Deep End
was still an accountant.
He still had a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a labor of love.
Yeah.
Just fucking keep going.
Yeah.
No matter this song did 10 plays or this song did 10,000 plays. Just keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, you have your mix show that you put out, which obviously like showcases edits and remixes and all that kind of stuff that you're working on. So Split Personalities, which is awesome. Fucking love those mixes.
Thank you.
You just did this other project a couple months ago now, The End, where you did a daytime one and then like a nighttime vibe too, which I listened to both of those, and that kind of got to showcase a little bit of like the Afro House vibe for that daytime one that just fit that vibe for it. But I thought that was a cool project too, where that kind of showcases both
Two kinds
things,
of
yeah,
like vibes. Yeah.
like it's not always just energy, go, go, go. I'm playing a nightclub. This is what I'm doing.
Headlining, just
Yeah.
punching people over the head. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, the end is so during the summer, we do a ton of work out in Montauk on Long Island, and they call it the end
Okay.
because it's the end of Long Island.
We've been talking about going out there for months.
It's great. I mean,
Yeah.
I love it during the summer, but it is far. It's the end of Long Island. So I kind of wanted to do a mix that had to do with Montauk and kind of how we play out there.
Yeah.
Because we do a lot of day parties on the beach, pool, kind of like that vibe. And the Afro House
Crushes.
just,
Yeah.
it's perfect because it's never too much. It's still kind of sexy, but you can still weave in some like popular vocals over like that Afro House kind of vibe. And then at night, it's a little bit more just like your standard nightclub, like aggressive stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really loved that because I could kind of showcase some of the Afro House. I didn't really feel like I had something to do with that sound. You know, it's like when I was younger, I used to create a lot of like different kind of mixtape series because there was multiple, depending on like the music I was either into or like if I had nothing to do with it. Like I used to have this mixtape series called Lactose Intolerant.
Okay.
And it was a lot of like indie stuff that was coming out, and I like just loved it. It was like Passion Pit, and you know, it was like early Kid Cudi, and like all this shit that I like couldn't really play at the club.
Yeah.
But I was like, I love this music. I don't know what to do with it. Like, so I just started putting out different mixtapes. And, you know, that one didn't have like a ton of like volumes, but it was like something similar to this where like, I feel like this was like almost, or like probably right in the middle of like the Afro House, like kind of vibe.
Ascension, yeah.
Where I was like, you know, I'm not really playing this a ton at my standard nightclubs.
Yeah.
But the day club, that day vibe, like this is kind of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to have a place to do it and put it in.
Well, what are we looking for next from you as far as music production and then any events, things like that we need to look forward to from 4 a.m.?
So from me, it's going to be, I'm just going to continue to like evolve in the Afro House vibe and just like, I really enjoy producing it. Like I really do love the whole vibe itself.
Yeah.
So it's going to be more of that. And then we just want to kind of continue to expand the roster in a really slow, tasteful way. I think slow is important.
Yeah.
In like anything that you do, like anytime you're trying to expand something, going probably slower than you think you need to go is the right speed.
You can't rush the quality.
You know, I want to make sure that no matter how big we ever do get, that people always feel taken care of, because it is a privilege and an honor for people to kind of hand you the keys to their career, their livelihood. You know, you don't know who they're supporting, if it's their family or kids or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think it is something that needs to be taken really seriously. And we do. But, you know, we're always like, okay, how many people can we really handle?
Take on, yeah.
How many people can we really give them the right quality of service with continuing to try to expand and, you know, and grow and what have you. So we want to do that. I personally want to like start breaking out into divisions, whether it's Latin or electronic or open format, or we kind of have it without having it right now.
Yeah.
Like even like a lot of our DJs are just like, they're crushing the luxury private event sector. And like, you know, people are like, I never heard of that person. And I'm like, well, he just did a wedding
doesn't have to
for
play nightclubs.
50 grand.
Yeah.
They're like, what? I'm like, you know, just because he's not playing A, B, and C nightclubs around the country doesn't mean he's not fucking making a whole lot more money than you are.
Yeah.
But just doing some billionaire's event, you know. So there's a lot of different ways to cut the cake.
Yeah. What's a typical like initiation for you guys? Are you guys having people reach out to you and want to be a part of the roster, or are you guys seeking people out that you see to fit the brand?
It's a little bit of both. And it's hard to really see, you know, who's really going to move the needle. I mean, like we've thought that we had, you know, lightning in a bottle a bunch of times and just didn't work out. And then some artists that we thought were going to be a good addition, but like not really crush it, have like super duper surprised us. So it's really happened both ways.
Yeah.
And sometimes DJs come to us. Sometimes they just kind of like end up in our orbit because this is what we do. Like I'm constantly seeking new artists, new nightclubs, new venue. Like, so if you're not in my orbit, that means, you know, I mean, it doesn't mean you're like doing something wrong. Like, what have you. It just could be, maybe it's a niche. Maybe it's a niche kind of music that I'm like not into, or it's not really on my radar or something like that. So it's a little bit of everything, but like people are definitely constantly like hollering at us for representation.
Yeah.
And I think a good thing to always identify is like, do you really need a manager?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to take 20% of your cut if you don't really need my help. Are you like stretched? You can't work anymore. You can't invoice anymore. Your time, like, you're treating this like a 9 to 5 where you're just constantly putting out content, constantly making music. Like, do you need a manager?
Yeah.
Because the last thing I want to do is take 20% of somebody's income and then them not really need it. It's like, you just needed me for maybe the accounting. You know, is there room to grow? You know, a lot of it is like introspective, but that circles back to like emotional maturity, and it's a tough conversation.
Yeah, if you're okay to look at yourself and see what you need to do. Yeah.
Do I think that if I sign with an agency, I will just automatically take, you know, like, what are your expectations? We have all of these conversations with artists because, you know, we want to make sure it's a good fit.
Yeah.
It's a relationship.
Yeah, because I mean, it's got to fit them, it's got to fit the brand, it's got to do it all. So.
It's got to fit so many different things.
Yeah.
So it's never this like just come on, you know.
Yeah, we'll take you in. It's like a stray dog, you know.
It is such an interview kind of thing where you like, we do multiple sets of interviews. We do interviews separately, together, like Madison and I. You know, it's a thing, and we really don't take it lightly.
Yeah. Good. Well, let's get into some of these rapid fire questions. I got just a couple lined up for you. As of right now, what's your favorite gig that you've ever played?
Oh, favorite gig. Okay, so favorite gig, I have 3 examples because they're all pretty ridiculous. Number 1 is always my Barcelona story. I DJ'd this club in Barcelona called Opium. It's still there. I actually just played it in April. But the first time I played there, they had me go on really late. I started at like 2:30 in the morning. And just like that whole culture of nightlife, they start real late.
Yeah.
And I played until the club closed. And at that point, if you've been to Opium, it's on the beach in Barcelona. So these garage doors just kind of open, and everybody spills out onto the beach, and then you all watch the sunset together. I mean, sunrise together. Like, just...
That would be awesome.
I remember being with my buddy Carlos and just being like...
This is life right now.
This is real life, right? Yeah. Like, we're in Spain right now, and then at that point, I was like going to like Italy and like Poland the day after that. I was like doing like a little Euro run, and I was like, this is fucking my life.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. Wild. 2, I DJ'd on the back of a yacht in Saint-Tropez. Just, I have this hilarious picture of me, and it's just another one of those situations where I was like, how do you tell your average person this is what I did this weekend or whatever, you know? And then 3. Oh wait, I fucking forgot the third one.
I mean, shit, those are good
Those
too.
2 are pretty good.
Yeah.
And then honestly, just all of these last runs to Japan have really just
Yeah. If you could do a dream collaboration with anyone, whether it's going to be you doing a DJ set with them or you working on some production with them,
Skrillex.
right away.
He's just the GOAT. We talked about it in the car a little bit, but it's just like, man, these motherfuckers, they just love that shit. It's what they do.
And you know, with somebody like him, like you can make anything with him. He can produce fucking everything.
Just a genius.
Yeah.
Just a pure genius. Yeah, definitely him for sure.
Yeah, I would love to just be behind
a
console with him and just watch him
I
work.
would just not say a fucking word.
Yeah. Just watch him go to work.
What are you doing?
What city, country, continent that you've played in gave you the best crowd energy?
Japan.
Really?
Every time. It started to fuck with me coming home.
Okay.
I started playing in Japan, I think maybe like a decade ago.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But it's pretty much overall Asia in general, but I think I played the most in Japan. They fucking rage.
Yeah.
They party to like the brink of death. And then you come home to the States and like you got like people in the crowd with like their phone up and like you're just like
You're like, why can't you be like
just
them?
Fucking rage.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I don't know.
What are you playing similar music out there?
No, I'm playing. It's
Really?
all like it's mostly, or I mean, at least the venues that I play. Like,
Yeah.
you know, they have.
Where are you playing? Bahia?
Yeah, I'm playing Bahia right now.
But okay.
It's pretty much predominantly like EDM remixes of like American songs.
Okay.
You know, I'll play a couple of Japanese songs here and there that are like just super popping at the moment.
Yeah, that's why I
like,
didn't know how much you have to get into that pocket of like.
Not really, honestly. I mean, Bahia is like a tourist venue, so
Yeah.
most people are kind of like expats or like they're traveling or whatever.
Gotcha.
But they fucking go.
That's awesome.
And they keep going. We could literally do a whole other episode of this about Japan and how much I love everything about Japan, the people and everything. But for example, and this is my favorite thing, it is perfectly normal for people to get so blackout drunk that they fall asleep in the street. And Japan is so safe that nobody gets robbed. But
that's fucking crazy.
That's how they party.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it fucks your gigs when you come back because you come back and you're like,
wow, this crowd's dead.
This is fucking boring.
Yeah.
like
who is your favorite DJ on your roster right now?
Hell no. You don't tell people who your favorite kid is. Get out of here. Absolutely not.
I was seeing if I could slide that one in there on you. Who is the next artist? Serious question. Who's the next artist from your roster that you think will be like a breakout?
I have a couple different. So, okay. I think Icon is going to do some real damage.
Yeah. Just played with him a month ago out here.
Just a good dude. People love him as a human. I think he's a good DJ. I think his social media presence has stepped up considerably. And he is, I think, one of our better examples of he is matching our energy on. He's reaching out to clubs. He's reaching out to venues. He's creating relationships with other DJs or talent buyers all on his own. I'm doing the same thing. The team is doing the same thing. And the two people firing at the same time is really what is a roadmap for success for our relationship. Most of the time, it's like one's working a little harder than the other or whatever. But like his reach out game and relationship game and then who he is as a human, like all of those things combined, I think really makes him a solid bet to be successful. Another artist I think is really going to honestly just come out swinging is Flash. I mean, like his production is consistently getting better, but I think it's him as a human, his relationships. Like he's really just a great person, great producer, and his social media game is crushing.
Yeah.
Crushing. You have to follow him because I mean, when the really successful artists are like fucking with your shit and you're still in like your infant stages, it shows that
you're doing something right.
You're going to be, if you're getting those eyes, like if Sarah Landry's like commenting on your stuff, like the queen of like raging techno, like it's going to be good. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. I mean, it's like, I don't want to take away from the artists that we have that are just constantly crushing it. Like Rick Wonder, I mean, like just a beast. If you're not playing Rick Wonder edits in your set,
you're
like,
fucking lying.
Are you alive? Like, have you been on a record pool? So like, it's not to take away from like anybody like him who is just on the road every weekend. He's like almost to the point where he's like, can I stay home a couple weekends? And I'm like,
we got you booked.
Signed up for this and you complained and you wanted to be on the road. I'm like,
yeah,
careful what you wish for. He's out there.
He is, man. It's awesome. And he's such a nice dude. So I love to see it. Icon is too. Icon I met back in Texas.
Right.
And then obviously like playing with him here, like he's such a genuinely nice guy. And then just crushes it. Content,
awesome
DJ,
content. Yep. His social media game, I will put up against fucking anybody's.
Yeah.
Like the quality of his content, the quality of his graphics, his videos, his consistency, it's unmatched.
Yeah.
It's unmatched. So like DJs that are looking for like tidbits, it's like, look at his social media and then talk to people about how he is as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll pretty much get an idea of like who you have to be and what you have to do to like accomplish things. Don't be like a thirsty little bitch. Just be a genuine good guy. And I don't know, don't be a creep. I'm like,
that's
you'll probably be okay.
Yeah.
What do you think your ratio is for like finding something that you're actually going to use?
Oh God.
It's not good.
See, I'm a guy that I listen to it and I'll like download stuff and then I fucking never play it because I'm like, nope, ends up I like don't actually think it fits in anywhere to play it.
It's just, I think also the amount that you can like kind of dip and not like be pitching fastballs these days are like, it's getting like tighter and tighter.
Yeah, like because people only want to hear this. So it's like if you
hits, it is hits. There's no taking them.
You throw one curveball and you lost them.
Right. And like the crowd like goes flat.
Yeah.
So it's like your margin of error. Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
That's the word we were looking for.
I don't know why I could think of that. But your margin of error is like tight. So like even incorporating new stuff, you're like, is it? I don't know. Do I play it?
Yeah. Or you like play it too early and it's not popular yet. Or
Oh yeah, I remember I played even funny. Like I think I did this gig in Dallas and like Guess had just come out and I was like, oh, this is gonna fucking go off.
Wasn't popular yet.
Flat. I mean flat. The last time that happened to me, I remember I played We Found Love, Rihanna, like it had like just come out and I was like, this is gonna crush, and somebody was like, boo, because they never heard it before.
Still a fucking classic to this day that you can play every single night.
It's like 20 years old. But I just have that memory of, and it was a chick too. She was like, boo.
Yeah.
Like, what song is this?
You're like, give it a week, you'll love this. Yeah.
Come back next Thursday. It's gonna be fun.
Exactly. Well, yeah. Last thing I need you to do, man, just put somebody on the platform. Every episode we like to have the guest either put a venue, a person, an event that they like going to, just anything that you want these viewers and these listeners to shine a little spotlight on and go check them out.
Well, definitely check out 4 a.m. Definitely check out all of the different artists we represent because we really pride ourselves in like running the gamut. Like that's another big thing that we try not to do is like sign artists that we kind of have a version of them yet, that we run into that because I don't want to sell the same shit over and over again. But definitely check out 4 a.m. Definitely check out our artists. Obviously, check out Barstool Nashville, which is where I will be DJing tonight. I think that's it for now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's 3 good ones. So that's a lot to check out with the whole roster. So definitely go check that out. Thank you guys for watching or listening. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. If you're listening to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure you follow, give that 5-star review. Go follow Chachi, follow 4 a.m. I'll put all the links for all of his socials, the sites, everything in the description. As always, I'm DJ Dex, and we will see you guys next week. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Check. Mic check. 1, 2. Yo, is this thing on or what?